Hey there, I'm with the dogs at the dog park. We've got it all to ourselves. And I'm going to read you an epistle, a letter from Samuel Johnson to Boswell. Boswell, a younger man, more than 2 decades, has gone to the continent to do his continental tour per his father's admonition. And he's not having a good time. He's in Holland, and he sent one letter to Johnson, which saying that he doesn't like it compared to London. And Johnson didn't respond. And Johnson had warmly went with Boswell all the way up to the disembarkment point on the English coast. Anyway, he sent a second letter, and he was quite distressed that he wasn't hearing from Johnson. And here's what he wrote. Finally, Johnson responds after the second letter. He said, this is Boswell's preamble to the letter. Utrecht, I guess that's a town in Holland. Seeming at first very dull to me after the animated scenes of London, my spirits were grievously affected, and I wrote to Johnson a plaintive and desponding letter, to which he paid no regard. Afterwards, when I had acquired a firmer tone of mind, I wrote him a second letter, expressing much anxiety to hear from him. At length I received the following epistle, which was of important service to me, and I trust will be so to many others. I haven't read this yet, so I thought I'd read it aloud to you. We can enjoy it together. A letter that's helped young Boswell settle his mind, in which he thinks would help others as well. Let's read it. Hey, Mr. Boswell, à la Cour de or something, I guess in French. Dear sir, okay, we can say it affect the Johnsonian speech. Imagine the giant figure that he is. Here's Boswell speaking about as his ship was departing. He could see Johnson waiting at the dock. He says, "Well, he remained rolling his majestic frame in his usual manner, and at last I perceived him walk back into town, and he disappeared." Here's the letter. Imagine Johnson speaking. I'm gonna look. Dogs are cool. Okay, don't be afraid by Johnson. Dear sir, you are not to think yourself forgotten or criminally neglected, that you have yet no letter from me. I love to see my friends, to hear from them, to talk to them, and to talk of them, but it is not without a considerable effort. Oh gosh, this is a long letter. Of resolution that I prevail upon myself to write. I would not, however, gratify my own indolence by the omission of any important duty or any office of real kindness. Sorry, remember, this is the first time I've read it. To tell you that I am or am not well, that I have or have not been in the country, that I drank your health in the room in which we last sat together, and that your acquaintances continue to speak of you with their former kindness, topics with which those letters are commonly filled, which are written only for the sake of writing, I seldom shall think worth communicating. But if I can have in my power to calm any harassing disquiet, to excite any virtuous desire, to rectify any important opinion, or fortify any generous resolution, you need no doubt but I shall at least wish to prefer the pleasure of gratifying a friend much less esteemed than yourself, before the gloomy calm of idle vacancy. So he's saying, wow, if you think I would just send you just a letter filled with vacant talk of gossip, then you've got another thing coming. Whether I shall easily arrive at an exact punctuality of correspondence, I cannot tell. I shall at present expect that you will receive this, there's some wind, this in return for 2 which I have had from you. So he's recognizing that this is his response to the 2 letters that Boswell sent him. The first, indeed, gave me an account so hopeless of the state of your mind that it hardly admitted or deserved an answer. By the second I was much better pleased, and the pleasure will still be increased by such a narrative of the progress of your studies as may evince the continuance of an equal and rational application of your mind to some useful inquiry. So he was waiting for Boswell to settle in a little bit, and he just dismissed the first letter outlined as a knee-jerk reaction, Boswell's knee-jerk reaction to his new setting. You will perhaps wish to ask what study I would recommend. So here's the good stuff. I shall not speak of theology, because it ought not to be considered as a question whether you shall endeavor to know the will of God. I shall, therefore, consider only such studies as we are at liberty to pursue or to neglect. And of these I know not how you will make a better choice than by studying the civil law, as your father advises. His father wanted him to be a lawyer, Boswell's father, that is. and the ancient languages as you had determined for yourself. That would be Latin and Greek, of course. At least resolve, while you remain in any settled residence, to spend a certain number of hours every day amongst your books. The dissipation of thought of which you complain is nothing more than the vacillation of a mind suspended between different motives and changing its direction as any motive gains or loses strength. If you can but kindle in your mind any strong desire, if you can but keep predominant any wish for some particular excellence or attainment, the gusts of imagination will break away without any effect upon your conduct, or commonly without any traces left upon the memory. Holy crap, yes, I needed to hear that. There lurks perhaps in every human heart a desire of distinction, which inclines every man first to hope and then to believe that nature has given him something peculiar to himself. This vanity makes one mind nurse aversion and another actuate desires, till they rise by art much above their original state of power, and as affection in time improves to habit, as affectation in time improves to habit, they at last tyrannize over him who at first encouraged them only for show. Wow, I'm thinking of some people, myself included. Every desire is a viper in the bosom, who, while he was chill, was harmless, but when warmth gave him strength, exerted it in poison. You know a gentleman who, when first he set his foot in the gay world, not that type of gay, as he prepared himself to whirl in the vortex of pleasures, imagined a total indifference and universal negligence to be the most agreeable concomitants of youth, and the strongest indication of an airy temper and a quick apprehension. Vacancy to every object, and sensible of every impulse, he thought that all appearance of diligence would deduce something from the reputation of genius, and hoped that he should appear to attain, amidst all the ease of carelessness and all the tumults of diversion, that knowledge and those accommodations which mortals of the common fabric obtain only by mute abstraction and solitary drudgery. He tried this scheme of life a while, was made weary of it by his sense and his virtue. He then wished to return to his studies, and finding long habits of idleness and pleasure harder to be cured than he expected, still willing to retain his claim to some extraordinary prerogatives, resolved the common consequence of irregularity into an unalterable degree of destiny, and concluded that nature had originally formed him incapable of rational employment. So that would be a capital N there on nature. That was one paragraph, that last bit. Let all such fancies, elusive and destructive, be banished henceforth from your thought. I gotta change the page. Forever. Resolve and keep your resolution. Choose and pursue your choice. If you spend this day in study, you will find yourself still more able to study tomorrow. Not that you are to expect that you shall at once obtain a complete victory. Depravity is not easily overcome. Resolution will sometimes relax, and diligence will sometimes be interrupted. But let no accidental surprise or deviation, whether short or long, dispose you to despondency. Consider these failings as incident to all mankind. Begin again where you left off and endeavor to avoid the seducements that pervaded over you before. This, my dear Boswell, is advice which perhaps has been often given you. And I know he wants, hi there, buddy. We'll go in just a sec. Almost done. And given you without effect. But this advice, if you will not take it from others, come here, buddy. You must take from your own reflections. If you purpose to do this, to do the duties of the station to which bounty, returning to his gentlemanly state, to which bounty, it's hard to read this way. If you, to which bounty of providence has called you, let me have a long letter from you as soon as you can. I hope you continue your journal and enrich it with many observations upon the country in which you reside. It will be a favor if you can get me any books in the Frisk language, whatever that is, F-R-I-S-I-C-K, what language is that? And even inquire how the poor are maintained in the 7 provinces. I think it's 7 provinces of the Netherlands. I am, of which Holland is just one, I think. I am, dear sir, your most affectionate servant, Sam Johnson, London, December 8th, 1763. So, and in a nutshell, encouraging Boswell to carry on with his resolute efforts to continue his due diligence studying the ancient languages, to not be dissuaded by his he used the word dissipation, right? Which is so easy to do. I'm guilty of that myself. And to mark the ticking of time and the moments passing for the opportunities that are before him. Wow, what a fortunate man Boswell was to have Johnson as his companion, his guide, and his mentor. All right, I'm ready to go continue our walking? All right, let's go. Bye-bye.